Hello, I'm Miss Susan from the Plainfield branch. This is Miss Liz from the Amy Van Andel branch in Ada. Hello. And we are here at Hogwarts today, dressed in our unicorn shirts and Beauty and the Beast mask and Luna's glasses from Harry Potter, because we are going to talk about fantasy and science fiction books. And Miss Liz is going to get us started.
All right, thanks. So the first book I wanted to share is called Deidre the Robot Goes to School by Jarrett Lerner. Now this book is found in the Easy Reader section, but if you open it up, you'll notice it has a table of contents and it has chapters too. Deidre the Robot is going to school and he's nervous about it. Deidre eats all the things other people throw away, like expired yogurt, mushy bananas, and even motor oil. But when he accidentally eats his backpack, his first day of school gets off to kind of a rocky start. This book is funny and includes illustrations sprinkled throughout. I like the fact that the text changes fonts occasionally when people are speaking. If you open it up, you can kind of see when Deidre's talking. The print looks different, so that's helpful for a beginning reader. It would be fun to read aloud in your best robot voice. And it also, the different fonts kind of draws your eye along the page. It also helps that it has a table of contents and it has a glossary in the back in case there's some words you might not be familiar with. This would be a great bridge book between easy readers and chapter books, and it's available in print form. Deidre the Robot Goes to School. Another beginning chapter book I wanted to share with you is called The Fabled Stables, Will-o'-the-Wisp by Jonathan Auxier. This is Augie on the cover here, and he is the caretaker of a magical stable on an island on top of the world. He takes care of the feeding and caring of a variety of unique and unusual creatures, such as a hippopotamouse and a bush squid. The stable even rearranges itself when a new animal comes to the island called Will-o'-the-Wisp, and that's Willa on the cover. Unfortunately, some hunters have followed Willa, and it's up to Augie to get Willa to the safety of the stable by outwitting the hunters. This beginning chapter book was really delightful. It has a lot of beautiful, colorful illustrations, and the writing is just kind of silly. This would be a great introduction to chapter books for those readers who are ready to move on from easy readers to chapter books. The illustrations help tell the story, so even if your reader isn't reading every word on the page, they'll be able to know what's happening. This is the first book in a new series, and the second book is already holdable in our catalog, and it's due out in May. It's available in print, ebook, and streaming audio on Hoopla. Take it away.
Okay. I have a beginning chapter book that is actually science fiction. It's called The Alien Adventures of Caspian, The Fuzzy Apocalypse by Jonathan Messenger. And this book is actually based on a podcast called The Alien Adventures of Caspian, and it has over 100 episodes now. So if you like the podcast, read the book, or if you like the book, you can listen to the podcast. It's sort of like Scooby-Doo in space. So if you like funny kind of goofy books, this one is for you. In the book, Caspian is the first baby born in space, and he now lives on a space station called the famous Marlow 280 Interplanetary Exploratory Space Station. And he and his friends are on a team of explorers that go out on missions to visit planets that have already been explored and found to be safe for kids. If something goes wrong with their current mission, and they end up on a planet where an alien meets them and thanks them for saving the planet, which is going to explode in 17 minutes.
Oh, no.
And the alien tells them that an adorable bunny is responsible for wanting to explode the planet and everyone who lives there. So the friends go to work trying to help, but they soon realize that everything isn't what it seems. The bunny might not be the bad guy after all, and the alien who met them might not be telling them the whole truth. You can find out the whole truth by reading The Alien Adventures of Caspian, The Fuzzy Apocalypse.
That sounds like fun.
It is fun. Then I have a fantasy that's a chapter book called Amari and the Night Brothers by B.D. Alston. And Amari's brother has been missing for several months, and the police seem to think that he might have gotten involved with something illegal. But Amari knows her brother would never do anything like that. Then she discovers a ticking briefcase in her brother's closet and finds that he has left her a nomination for a summer tryout at the secretive Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. So she attends. Her mom thinks she's going to summer camp. And she discovers that her magical ability is strong, but her type of magic is illegal. As a result, most of the kids are mean to her, but her roommate becomes a true friend. Her roommate is a were-dragon, who is the last of her kind, so she kind of knows what it's like to be left out. Amari has a lot going on. She gets mysterious messages from someone trying to help her develop her illegal magic or power. She, at the same time, an evil magician is trying to take over the magical world. And Amari has to pass her exams, thwart the evil magician, and find her brother. This is slightly reminiscent of Harry Potter. It takes place in a school, and it has fun magic like flying shoes and sentient elevators. And I'm pretty sure you will love Amari and the Night Brothers.
I love the cover.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All right. Well, I think that this book kind of follows that one nicely. This is Maya and the Rising Dark by Rena Barron. In this book, 12-year-old Maya finds out way more than she bargained for when her father goes missing. There's always missing people in these books. She lives in present-day Southside Chicago, and she notices some weird things happening. At school, she notices that time stops occasionally, color drains from her surroundings, and she has terrible nightmares about a mysterious Lord of Shadows. With the help of her two friends, she uncovers the truth that she is half Orisha and half human, and her father is protector of the veil between the human world and the dark. And now he's missing. Can Maya harness her godling powers and prevent a war between the two worlds? This would be an awesome book for fans of the Rick Riordan Presents book. In fact, I kept thinking that it was part of the series, but it's not. Lots of superhero references and folklore, good versus evil, and kids protecting our human reality. I did listen to the audio version and enjoyed the fact that there were little sound effects kind of that went along with the text. I was in my car and I would kind of turn the volume down because I couldn't tell that it was coming from the actual audiobook. It was kind of unique for an audiobook, so I would recommend that. This book is available in print, CD, audiobook, ebook, and e-audio, Maya and the Rising Dark. The next book I want to share is called Ikenga by Nettie Okorafor. This is probably my favorite book that I read out of all of them today. This is a mashup of mystery, fantasy, and superheroes set in present-day Nigeria. Namdi wants to avenge his father's mysterious death, if only he knew who was responsible. He sets out to learn the truth, but is visited by his father's spirit. Namdi is gifted by his father an idol, which he's holding in his hand right here. I'm not sure if you can see it. That gives him Hulk-like superpowers. Although this seems like a perfect solution, he soon finds that with great power comes great responsibility. He shares his secret with his best friend and ends up, when he's showing her how strong he is, he accidentally hurts her. And then Namdi begins seeking out some of the petty criminals in his super form, apprehending them and questioning them about his father. But however, this also backfires as he hurts the criminals in the process and then evokes sympathy from the people that live in his town. And then everybody's mad at his superhero form because he's hurting people. So, can Namdi get to the bottom of his father's mysterious death before it's too late? I love this book because Namdi was such a real, likable character. Can you imagine having super strength and power as a 12-year-old, but not being able to control it? He's full of grief and anger, and it seems like the perfect outlet, but his struggle makes the reader wonder what would be the best solution to these problems. Should he have these superpowers or should he not? This was also an awesome audiobook, so I would recommend that as well. It's available in print, ebook, e-audio, and e-audio on Hoopla. So I recommend Ikenga.
Very cool. All right. 13s by Kate Alice Marshall is another book with a missing person. After Eleanor's house burns down and her mother vanishes, she moves to her mother's childhood town of Eden Elf to live with her aunt and uncle. On her first morning there, a weird grandfather clock that is running backward appears outside her bedroom. She knows it wasn't there the night before, but she doesn't mention it to her aunt because both she and her mom have had problems seeing things that other people say aren't there in the past. At her new school, she sees a large, menacing black dog outside that no one else seems to notice until a boy in her class named Otto advises her not to let anyone know that she saw the dog. Her new friends, Otto and Pip, tell her that there are wrong things in Eden Elf that no one seems to notice except the three of them. So with the help of a talking statue, a ghostly cat, and a mysterious book of strange fairy tales left on Eleanor's bed, the three friends soon realize that the three of them will all turn 13 on Halloween, and a creepy society in town has evil plans for them. They try to outwit the evil society people before the stroke of midnight on Halloween, because if they don't, no one will ever see any of them again. Oh. 13s by Kate Alice Marshall.
Sounds exciting.
It was very exciting. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I was reading it at night and I was kind of scared.
Oh, no.
Then Dragon Mountain by Kate and Kevin Sang. Billy is not thrilled to be going to Mandarin camp in China over the summer because he would rather be surfing at home in California. He arrives at camp and the 12 campers are divided into groups, and Billy ends up with Dylan, Charlotte, and Ling Fei. Their first night at Camp Dragon, they hear a legend about the mountain that looms over the camp that involves a huge dragon battle, magical bonds dragons and humans can share, and a river of blood that ran down from the mountain after the big dragon fight. A couple of days later, the teams are sent out on a scavenger hunt, and Ling Fei knows a shortcut. So the team ends up finding the item they were seeking, but they also find a tiger. A terrified Dylan runs from the tiger and he chases him. When the other three find him, the tiger is perched above them, and in their fear, they join hands. The tiger leaps and seems to disappear into the mountain. Things start shaking violently in an apparent earthquake. And when the kids return to camp, they're the last team to arrive, and everyone says, "What earthquake? What are you talking about? That's just an excuse because you came in last." Well, Ling Fei finds that she's lost her special necklace. So the next morning, the team decides to return to the mountain and find her necklace. They find a small crack in the mountain, and first Ling Fei disappears, and then Dylan disappears. So Billy and Charlotte go into the crack in the mountain to look for them. They find their friends, but they also find something unbelievable. They begin an amazing adventure involving an epic battle between the forces of good and evil that will decide the fate of the entire world.
Oh, man.
Very exciting. Dragon Mountain by Katie and Kevin Sang.
All right. Is it my turn? Okay. Okay. So the next book I have to share is called The Circus of Stolen Dreams by Lorelei Severin. Guess what? There's another missing person. Okay. Andrea's little brother disappeared 3 years ago, and she and her parents have pretty much fallen apart since then. One night, Andrea leaves her house and discovers a magical circus called Reverie. The admission is one memory, and she knows exactly what she'd like to forget. She makes a friend in her tour guide named Penny, and they go from tent to tent, experiencing dreams like flying, reaching for the stars, and pirate adventures. The person behind the circus is the Sandman, who is definitely not as wonderful and grandfatherly as Andrea imagined him to be. The longer she stays, the more sinister the circus seems to be. With nightmare tents and no way out, Can Andrea escape this dream world and make it back to reality? Is her brother caught in the nightmare too? I enjoyed this book because it was just the right mix of fantasy and scary together. There's a bit of mystery in Andrea's search for her brother, but the sense of urgency for escape is powerful as the book progresses. I found myself reading faster as the book came to a close because I really wanted Andrea to just get out of there. It's currently available in print only, The Circus of Stolen Dreams. The next book I wanted to share with you is called The Sisters of Stray Garden Place by Haley Chewins. This is another kind of scary fantasy in which the setting is a character itself. These three sisters live in a house that has taken care of them for several years since their parents left, and they left their care with the house, or they left.
The parents disappeared.
The parents disappeared, and the house is taking care of the girls. They're not allowed outside the house as the grass that grows outside is dangerous and could trap them. The house feeds them and clothes them and even plays games and entertains them. It sounds like a lot of fun, but there's definitely an unsettling air about the house. So, of course, one day, one of the sisters goes outside and gets trapped. And when she comes back in, she's very sick. And it's up to the middle sister to find out from the house how to cure her. But she finds way more than she ever expected. And she may be able to find a way out of the house they're trapped in if only the house will allow it. I would recommend this to readers who enjoyed Coraline or The Night Gardener. It definitely is kind of spooky and kind of perilous. As a fan of Beauty and the Beast, I love enchanted houses, but this one is a little scary. And also, one side note about the story, the girls can't sleep. That's kind of the condition of living in the house. So they have little dogs that they carry around with them, and the dogs sleep for the girls. So if one of the dogs is missing, then the girl can't go to sleep.
Oh, no.
It's kind of interesting, yeah. I found it kind of cool. It's very different than what I was expecting, but I did enjoy it. This is currently available in print only, The Sisters of Stray Garden Place.
It's very creepy.
It was creepy, but I liked it. I did like it.
All right. The Artifact Hunters by Janet Fox is about Isaac. He lives in Prague in 1942, and with more and more of his neighbors disappearing, not because of magical means, but because of Nazis, and they're Jewish, it's not safe for his family anymore. So his parents smuggle him out to Scotland and tell him that they'll find him. His father gives him a pendant and says, don't take this off for anyone or anything. And then he also gives him a box and tells him, don't open this until you're at this certain castle in Scotland. Well, being a young boy, he can't help but open the box early. And he finds himself temporarily flung back in time, witnessing a society being destroyed by monsters. He's back in the present day. He finally gets to the castle in Scotland, and he discovers it is actually a special school for magical kids who are being trained to help MI6 win the war against the Nazis. And he is a magical kid. He learns that the box his father gave him contains a special watch used for time travel. And his mission is to assemble a group of artifact hunters and to travel in time and collect magical objects. While he and the other students are at the castle figuring everything out, there's an evil fairy and a wraith, both trying to get to Isaac for different reasons. And since his parents are still trapped in time at the end of the book, I'm guessing there will be a sequel, which is great because you will love the Artifact Hunters.
I do love a sequel.
Yes. And then my last book is fantasy called Cinders Sparrows by Stefan Bachmann. Zita Bridgeborn has not lived the greatest life. She's been an overworked orphan. Well, one afternoon, a scarecrow hops over the garden wall and gives her a letter that tells her, hey, you inherited the castle. She jumps at the chance to have an adventure. She arrives at a very creepy castle, complete with an unfriendly guardian who tells her she's from a family of powerful witches. She starts lessons in charms and spell making, But the only people who seem to like her are 2 servant children and a crow. The castle is very spooky, complete with ghosts, talking statues, staircases that move, and little creatures named Triggles that steal shiny objects. Zeta soon realizes that her guardian may not have her best interest at heart, and her family seems to be under a spell, not to mention a lot of cobwebs in the family dining room, all seated in chairs. She needs to puzzle out who bewitched them, how to undo the spell, and why a ghost who might be her sister is haunting her. After she uncovers a wicked plot, she has to figure out how she, who barely knows how to be a witch, can defeat the evil forces that want to take her power, her castle, and maybe even her very life.
Oh dear.
Yes, Cinders and Sparrows.
Wow. That's another enchanted house. That's interesting. Okay. I have a couple more. The first one is called The Silver Arrow by Lev Grossman. I listened to the audio version of this book, and it was definitely delightful. It reminded me of the Polar Express because of the train, but 11-year-old Kate is gifted an actual train from her rich uncle for her birthday. As the engine is placed on what happens, they just happen to have abandoned railroad tracks in their backyard. Go figure. So they put the train on, and of course, Kate and her younger brother are climbing around, and the engine roars to life. And they go off on an adventure of a lifetime, learning what the locomotive needs as it spells out messages in a kind of a telegraph system, and picking up talking animals at various stops along the way. As you would. It's not clear at first what the purpose of the train ride will be, but as we get to know the various animal characters, we know that Kate must be the one to relocate these creatures, just as long as they have a ticket to board. I adored listening to the audio, mainly because of the narrator. I normally am not a fan of talking animal books, but let me assure you that he voiced each animal uniquely, and it was really a lot of fun. The author, Lev Grossman, is widely known for his adult fantasy series, The Magician. This book does have some careless moments, but the adventure and excitement abound. And it also, I did get the print book as well, and it has some illustrations sprinkled throughout, so that's always kind of fun. This would be a great audio for a car trip, a good family read aloud. It's available in print, CD, audiobook, ebook, and e-audiobook. The Silver Arrow. Oh, I think I'll just, okay. One more book to share with you. It's called Quintessence by Jess Redman. 12-year-old Alma recently moved to a new town and hasn't really felt like herself much lately. She's having some panic attacks, and they are coming more frequently than she even wants to admit to her parents. She hasn't really made any great friends, but things change when she's exploring a neighborhood secondhand store and comes away with a special telescope. You can kind of see it in her hand on the cover. It's called a quintescope. And while she's stargazing in the backyard, Alma sees what might be a falling star falling from the sky, but it actually looks like a person falling from the sky. She finds the crater in her yard, but nothing more. And there just happens to be an astronomy club forming at school, where she meets a crew of kids who believe her and soon believe in her. They go on midnight quests to search for clues about this falling star, and they give Alma something to believe in and bring her back to herself. I thought this book was fantastic fun. I like the story of Alma and her family going through changes in life, and Alma finding her people at school. The fantasy elements were kind of a mystery as the kids were trying to uncover the truth about this falling star and the power that lives in each of them. This book is available in print, CD, audiobook, and streaming audio on Hoopla. And I do love audiobooks so much, so I'm always excited if there's one available on Hoopla to download instantly. Quintessence.
Well, I hope you check out some of these science fiction or fantasy books at your local KDL library. If not, we have many dozens more.
That was a lot of fun. We had some good stuff. All right, thanks for joining us.